Hello, fuckers. Well, glad to see you've popped in. Uh, if you've heard of guys like Mr. Nightmare, Killer Orange Cat, and Mr. Davis and the like, then this is kind of a horror narration thing with its own unique goodies you won't find anywhere else. Now, I admit I used to archive stuff on my old YouTube channel, and I probably won't do this very often, but just have a listen to these, let me know, and this will be well, fairly interesting and quite different. Okay, I have around three of these, and by the way, the spider in this pic I'm using, the green and black widow-looking one, moves its head, and I saw one in a Fred Meyer. Just as I was coming in, the spider turned its head directly at me. Yes. Now, we shall begin. Tom Baker? Yes, that's Tom Baker. Was mowing the grass at some gravestones off Maidstone, Kent, when one day he saw someone watching his grave. It was mostly nondescript, normal, but not even unusual, let alone scary, in the jump out and scare you sense. And starts a short little P.S. terror stab there. It was mostly nondescript. No, well, okay, he was vaguely unsettling. Not exactly a breeze of a sight in the graveyard, even if you aren't scared by him like a superstitious dumbass. After a moment, the man came up to sing him startlingly, "Oh, I was just admiring your grave." And then abruptly changed the subject to, "It's a shame to hear about Mr. Pertwee, and I like that Honda." Tom wondered, "What's the matter with Brilliant? Can't you see I'm dead?" Tom said, "No, I've got a Persia." "No, your mower," he said, pointing at that Honda. After a few minor back and forth small talk, he left. That night, Tom was in bed with Sue when he heard a loud slamming sound. He sprang with a clash and heard a crash, and when he went to the window, he saw 3 men in ski masks and dark clothing getting open the door to a shed, and a few minutes after the local bobbies were called, the men got into the new pickup truck and left. To this day, it is unclear what the connection is between the men and the visitor to the grave, but there is an unsettling, undeniable connection. This happened in Antioch, California. It was around 2 a.m. I was at a friend's house, safe in warm, sheltered suburbia. We were having a lot to drink, chit-chatting, enjoying ourselves. Of course, when you're having fun, time hits the fast-forward button, and those few minutes turn into an hour. I had too much to drink. My friend has a bit of an abrupt bedtime, so I had to dodge out early, still intoxicated. I felt too shameful thinking he'd be asking too much to stay in his house to sleep off the drunkenness. I suppose he was either too rude or too drunk to consider it himself. Whatever, sometimes a little inconvenience makes you appreciate everything else. I needed about another hour or so to sober up and drive back. As fast as time passed during my stay, it decided to drastically slow down as soon as I stepped out of his house. It was a cul-de-sac area, a concrete jungle with the stem of the street breaking into a fork. Alongside the road, my car was parked. The only street light that worked was in the middle of the cul-de-sac circle about 80 yards away. I stumbled towards my car, Bruce my keys, felt the middle lineup, opened my door, and shifted to the back seat. Because this was a dark, strange, and unfamiliar neighborhood, I took the left over newspapers and the sweater in my back seat to cover myself up. I was a little scared. I wanted to camouflage myself and not just be some guy awkwardly sitting in his car waiting for time to pass in order to drive home. I couldn't fall asleep. The uncomfortable feeling of a cheap backseat bed enshrouded in darkness didn't make the chance of slumber easier. It felt too ominous. And of course my mind began to wonder. I thought of worst case scenarios, like how the police would shine their lights on me through the window or a drunk driver hit my car and... Wait. In the distance about 100 yards away, I could hear footsteps approaching. The gravel scuffed with each step forward, growing in proximity, but periodically taking stops. I wondered why, until it made sense in my mind. Whoever it was probably looking through cars carefully with the intent to steal one. I couldn't recall how many cars were on the block, but I counted 3 full stops until he was at my window breathing. I froze. There was no more than 1 foot between us. The car encapsulated me as I lay hidden beneath backseat clutter, flooring myself into an object. trying my hardest to be unnoticeable, unmoving, and simply not there. I see you, said a 40-plus-year-old man in perverse baby talk. Imagine when you were playing hide and seek, and one of your friends tricks you into coming out. He said it in that tone of voice, as if beating me, like he was questioning whether the clutter in the backseat was just clutter or a person. I didn't want to move or check the window. I remained clutter. Give me an Academy Award. My body reacted by minimizing my breathing so much that I felt paralyzed. I dare not look. My eyes fixated on the back of the passenger seat. I didn't blink. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. My heart was pounding so hard it shook my body with each throb. He circled around the car. My ears didn't fail me. I heard the steps. I felt like I was part of the car. I could feel him touching the trunk as he carefully pressed down as if to test the alarm, as if to test me. I was in the middle of desperation. I couldn't do either without eluding danger. I was frozen and hoping to God he was bluffing. He circled the car again. The door handle to my right jiggled. He was pulling multiple times. I see. Same tone, but more agitated and stressed, more convinced that he was trying to make that clutter move, revealing itself to be of his expectations that it was me. My muscles tensed like a cow before slaughter. Tap, tap, tap. That had to be metal against glass. Take a penny right now and tap your window. The crowbar, a knife, a rock, a gun. My eyes fixated on the scene in front of me, never averting my gaze, like he was. I was covered enough to where I couldn't see beyond the seat in front of me. I knew I couldn't see him, but I could feel his eyes resting on top of me. My name is Pokerface. What's your name? The voice changed in a lower, demented, and serious tone. My mind forced a visual. It wasn't anything human. I already accepted my death. I was ready to be shot in the head, ready to take a life-changing bullet, multiple knife wounds. This made sleep bearable, not excruciating, as you drained me of life. I wouldn't know how to react. My thoughts grew dimmer. I imagined my friend waking up the next morning after a calm night of sleep and sleep only to discover my mutilated, defiled, and bloody body hanging outside my car door. It was then I heard nothing but my own heart. What was this person doing now? Staring at me in the middle of the night? Talking to me or a messy pile in the back seat? I froze. The footsteps would be swallowed in the distance. Thank God he left. I waited another hour until the sun shed hints of itself. I jumped into my front seat and bolted out of there wide-eyed and sober. When I was about 7 years old in 2007, I was very close to being abducted. I remember it vividly, and I'm still terrified of what happened. I lived in a two-story house in a safe neighborhood. My mother and I were the only ones home at the time. My mother was taking a bath upstairs while I watched Nickelodeon downstairs in the living room. The way my house is set up is that anyone can see the living room through the front door, even if the door is shut. I remember hearing a knock on the door, and I couldn't ignore it since whoever it was at the door could see me and knew that someone was home. My mom usually would hide in the kitchen until the person knocking went away, and it was too late for me to run into the kitchen since he could see me. I remember feeling guilty since my mom has always warned me never to open the door to strangers. I got the key and unlocked the door. A man in his early 30s or late 20s wearing work clothes with a green tie was at the door. He asked me if I knew where my neighbor was and that he needed to see him. I also noticed that the guy was looking around the inside of my house while he waited for me to answer. I asked him which neighbor he was talking about, and then he said that he was older and lived somewhere near here. He didn't give me a name and was as vague as possible. I felt bad because I didn't know who he was talking about since I live in a neighborhood with primarily older couples. I told him, can't help you, but then he insisted that I help him search the neighborhood for my neighbor. I declined, and the guy kept asking me. I told him no when someone in the guy then grabbed my arm and started to pull me out of my house. I grabbed the door frame and called for my mom, then let go of my arm and started to casually walk back to his car. I'm pretty sure that it was the beige Civic, but the details were foggy in my mind. Honestly scares me the most. But what's more, rather unsettling, eerie, is that he didn't bolt and speed off. He was too calm. As got away so calm, so silent. I just stood there and watched him drive away, as if nothing bad had happened. I didn't tell my mom about this incident until I was about 15, and she flipped her shit. Ooh. I regret not telling her sooner, because there's no telling what this guy's done after trying to kidnap me, what he's done before. Although from the way he acted, he was, he was clearly up to no good. To this day, I still panic when I hear someone knock on the front door. Eerily calm man with the green tie. Let's never meet again.